the discovery process, all you're looking for is the driver of that decision. The driver of the decision is going to be the beneficiary and the people that they are trying to protect. And many of times, it pops into their head, oh, I don't want them to pay for my funeral or XYZ. But you need to dig deeper into that. Ask them what it's going to look like whenever their son or daughter has to go into the funeral home. Work with the funeral director, sort out those final arrangements. Figure out if they have children of their own. That's one of the key things for me, and I think that's why I make a lot of sales.
Before we hop into it, man, how important is the discovery, the fact-finding process of the presentation?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. For me, I think and like this is kind of a cliche, right? I say all the time, like this is the most important part of the call. This is the most important part of the call. And I always say the intro is the most important part, right? Because without the intro, without keeping them on the phone for the first 30 seconds, you're not able to have the opportunity to even get to the discovery, right? But whenever it comes down to actually closing, I believe that the discovery process is the most important. And the reason being is because that is the driver of the decision. At the end of the day, these folks are not getting life insurance for themselves. They're never going to see that benefit, right? With simplified whole life, they'll never see that. The only caveat to that, or the only exception to that, is if they had to exercise their living benefits, which I hope they never would. Talking about like terminal illness rider and things of that nature. But you're having them invest in something that is not for them. It just gives them peace of mind knowing that their family is taken care of and protected. So at the end of the day, just talking to them about a product itself, selling them the high points about cash value and these terminal illness riders and things of that nature, that's not enough to have them actually take action. But those of you that are parents, have nieces and nephews, things of that nature, there is absolutely nothing that you wouldn't do for your loved ones, for your children, nieces and nephews, whatever that looks like for you guys, right? I can tell you there are no bounds whenever it comes to my daughters or my wife for that matter. That being said, that is what we're trying to locate. We're trying to locate those people within the prospect's life. So to be able to do that, you have to ask some really tough questions, some really hard questions that people do not want to ask. It makes me feel uncomfortable. And I just want to provide transparency there because a lot of people think that, like, I don't know, like I'm comfortable doing this,
Mhm.
and I want to share with all of you on this call. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and especially knowing my personality type, because for me, there's no pity due to anybody. Right? Things happen in life. It's about how you bounce back. It's how you handle them. And for me, asking some really tough questions and empathizing with people is a very uncomfortable thing for me to do. So it took a lot of training. It took a lot of work for me. I think at this point we've kind of established that like the authority piece to me came kind of naturally, and that's the part I really thrive in. So I really leaned in heavily on that whenever I first started. But make no mistake of it, in the background, I'm actively working on my empathy piece.
Mm,
That being
that's good.
said, I think there are stages within the call where you have to flex your authority muscle, and then you have to really get in and be a person with the client. If you're never a person, you don't come off as approachable at some point in time, these clients are never going to share their personal information with you. So that being said, whenever we're getting into the discovery and we are asking these tough questions, it's not weird unless you make it weird. Like, these are questions that no one else had the guts to ask these prospects, or they'd have life insurance already, in my opinion. I think that there's a time and place, obviously. You have to wait until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of actually changing. But I believe that 99% of the clients that I speak to, they've never been asked these questions before. And I know that because I've had a prospect tell me, and which is now a client for me, that she talked to 3 to 4 dozen insurance agents and she never took action before. And I knew that because she told me, she was very upfront with me about that. And that was because I asked the right questions and I just heard what she was saying. She was saying some things that let me know what her true concerns were. Not every single client is getting life insurance or getting get this protection that we offer to cover their burial. Sometimes it fits the bill for more of like a mortgage protection. I had a lady the other day that I was speaking to that told me that her true worry was that her son wouldn't be able to keep up with her house note because she had borrowed against the house and things, it was a situation like that. And so I just got in deep with her and figured out what she was truly concerned about. And we dissected the problem. And it looks a little bit different than some people think it does. I was just a person with her. I was just open. And I would ask her some things about what she was truly concerned about in detail, right? And I asked her, what would that look like? What would your grandson have to do? What situation is he in now? And ultimately, by asking those tough questions, she finally opened up to me about what her true concerns were. So that being said, guys, the discovery process, all you're looking for is the driver of that decision. The driver of the decision is going to be the beneficiary and the people that they are trying to protect. And many of times, it pops into their head, oh, I don't want them to pay for my funeral or XYZ. But you need to dig deeper into that. Ask them what it's going to look like whenever their son or daughter has to go into the funeral home, work with the funeral director, sort out those final arrangements, figure out if they have children of their own. That's one of the key things for me. And I think that's why I make a lot of sales, or one of the reasons is because I ask them if they have grandchildren, if their beneficiary has children of their own. Okay, so they're raising kids. All right. What do they do for a living? Oh, they're on disability. Okay. Well, and I think I do a really good job at edifying on the front end to kind of set myself up to close on the end by telling them, Ms. Betty, I really commend you for taking this step today. There's many mothers that I speak to that are completely comfortable leaving this burden behind for their children to figure out on their own. Silence. Do not respond before they do. Let that silence work its magic, guys. I make a lot of weird comparisons about sports and fishing. Guys, whenever you cast out a good line out there, let it soak, let it go down to the bottom, let the fish find it, And I make that comparison all the time because I think it's important to visualize how these things play out, to have that confidence to know. And I'm telling you guys, you say that, they will cut in and say, oh no, not me. They're going to justify their position right there because you're challenging their identity to, in a sense, at that point. That's not how they want to be looked like. They don't want to look like that whenever they go, right? And so whenever we ask these specific questions like, okay, how many children do they have? What are their ages? What do they do for a living? Do you think that they would be able to pay for your final expenses, or is that just too much of a financial burden for them? In that same tone that I just used it, guys, I know that I'm kind of going back and forth between presenting and, going through my skill, going through my spiel.
Well, Nick, let's give them so I can be the client
Okay.
and you can be the agent,
Okay.
and let's give them like an actual discovery that you would
Sure.
you would say in your tonality and your
Okay.
pacing, so they can actually see what it sounds like in real time. So let's hop into now. There's a lot of face-to-face agents on the line, guys. You can still use the same discovery
Mhm.
for face-to-face as well. So Nick, let's hop into it. You already called me up. We're right now into discovery. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. So
Okay. So
we're
past
in.
the intro, we've already gone through the intro, right?
Yes, yes,
Intro's
yes,
out of the
yes,
way. So,
yes,
Mike, tell me,
yes.
man, what exactly got you thinking about your final expenses?
Well, just getting to that age, where I feel like it's really important for me to do.
Mhm.
But honestly, I've been talking to so many agents and so many collectors and things in the mail, and it's just too expensive. It's just way too expensive.
Hmm. Okay, so tell me a little bit about that, Mike. I mean, what kind of quotes have you received? Have you put in any applications yet? Have you talked to specific agents, or are you just receiving stuff through the mail and you think that's too high for you? What's going on there?
I mean, I put in one application a while
Mhm.
ago, but then I did not go forward with it. The guy was look too pushy, too pushy. Like he wanted my banking information. I'm like, man, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. So I put an application about 2 months ago and I stopped it, man. I canceled that sucker. So I got
Okay.
nothing right now. Are you
So
are you are you gonna ask my banking information later?
well, we'll get back into that, Mike. So the way this works is with every state regulated insurance plan that we go through, we have a couple of different options, man. If you receive your Social Security benefits into a checking account, these carriers do require a checking account on file, but there are 5 to 10% of them that do offer billing by debit or direct express cards. It's kind of dwindled down our options here. The reason that we do utilize a checking or savings account for billing is because those accounts can't be lost, stolen, or expired. Right. So
Mm,
I do apologize that you were working with a client that was rather pushy. However, at the end of the day, I'm not a salesperson. I am more of just an advisor. So I'm trying to figure out what your situation is so we can find the best plan that fits for you. So
okay.
whenever you say you put in an application, man, I mean, what was the biggest thing that held you back from actually moving forward with that plan?
I mean, I thought the price was kind of high. I'm about to pay about 175 a month.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of coverage were they offering you with that 175, Mike?
It was about, man, I think it was about 30,000 in coverage.
Hmm.
30,000 in coverage.
Okay. You feel like that was a good deal?
I mean, I thought it was, but what you got for me? Because I'm willing to go with you.
Okay. Well, let's kind of figure out what's going on here, and then we can talk about some numbers here. One thing I do want to tell you, though, Mike, that your budget is my highest priority here. I want to make sure that we find something for you that is affordable, that does protect your loved ones as well. So, at this point, man, have you put any thought yet to whether you want to be buried or cremated?
Man, they can probably just throw me in the backyard, honestly, man. I really don't care. Like,
Okay.
I mean, this insurance thing, I've been waiting to procrastinating this thing my whole entire life. But at this point, they could probably throw me in the backyard, and I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Mike, unfortunately, there are laws against that. And we do need to make sure that we're cognizant of the needs and wants of your loved ones. So, I mean, just so I understand your knowledge behind that process, have you ever lost anyone close enough to you to where you have had to go through the burial or cremation process yourself?
Man, brother, why you asking that question, bro? Everyone lost someone, man. What the heck, man?
Well, like I said, Mike, I just want to make sure that I understand your knowledge behind that process so I can properly explain it to you. Again, like I said, I'm not a salesperson. More of what I'm trying to do is understand where your gaps in the knowledge are so I can educate you along the way. So, I mean, whenever you lost someone recently, man, who was that passed around you?
Um, my grandma, man, Gigi.
I'm sorry to
Yeah,
hear that, man.
that was my best friend, man.
How long ago did you lose your grandma, Mike?
It was about 4 years ago.
How are you doing? How's the family?
Man, we're still grieving from that one, man. That one was a blow to us, man. That one was tough. That was like, yeah, that was tough, man. That
I'm
was
sure it
tough,
was.
man. And she had no insurance too, man. So we had to do, man, I think about drain my savings account.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Mike. You know, a lot of people say that time heals all, but I know that that's not true. Birthdays, holidays, and anniversaries are still very difficult for folks like you.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you
Yeah,
know,
I mean that's true because it's been 4 years, but it feels like yesterday.
well, my heart goes out to you, Mike. I just commend you for taking this step today because there's a lot of guys that I talk to that are completely comfortable leaving that behind to their family to figure out on their own. And I can tell that what you went through with your grandmother, it sounds like you guys really struggled. Is that right?
Man, if I had to tell you what we had to do, man, we had to do so much to get that thing taken care of, and it was tough, man. Like I don't want that for my little ones.
Mm. I mean, what did that look like, Mike? What did you guys have to do?
Man, bro, you gotta ask all these questions, man. Like I ain't trying to.
Look, Mike, I understand this is a tough conversation to have, right? But it is my job as a state underwriter to figure out what situation you're in, to figure out your knowledge behind the entire process so I can ensure that not only am I educating you along the way, but we are finding the correct plan that suits your and your family's needs so that your family doesn't get put in the same exact situation you were put in with your grandmother.
Mm, yeah, that's good, man. But what was your question again? I mean, it was hard, man. It was super hard, man. Like, man, it was really hard, man. Like,
I mean,
she didn't even get the casket she wanted because we didn't have enough money to pay for it.
you know, Mike, I truly, I can't say this enough, but my heart goes out to you. I'm sorry that you and your family had to deal with that. And I also want to tell you, man, that you and your family did the best that you could with what you had. So I don't want you to feel any grief behind that. And frankly, whenever someone passes away without the proper coverage in place, we see this all the time. The family is not able to properly grieve because all they're worried about is finances at that time.
It's a fact. It's a fact, man. Like I said, man, like that's why I need to get this done, but man, it's just too expensive, man. Like I can't. It's just too
So
expensive, man.
I get what you're saying, Mike. I hear you. I hear you. But before we go any further, I want to make sure that we're on the same page here because I talk to a lot of guys that come in wanting 25, 35, $50,000 of coverage.
Hmm.
And due to their age and the fact that they procrastinated up to this point, they can't afford 25 or 35 or 50,000 in coverage. And some of those same guys that I talk to say that if they can't get those numbers, they don't want insurance at all. And I just think that's crazy. Because at the end of the day, Mike, it's better to leave your plan, your family a small plan in place rather than leave them a funeral bill for themselves to figure out on their own.
Mm.
Are we on the same page here? I want to make sure that we're seeing that eye to eye.
No, I understand that. I never thought about it that way. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So you're saying that. So how much is going to be 10,000?
So we'll figure it out here shortly, man. I'm gonna have to figure out a little bit more about you. But like whenever your time does come, who is it that's gonna be going to the funeral home, working with that funeral director to sort out your final arrangements?
Man, probably my daughter, Stacy, but she got money though, man. Like she can probably pay out of pocket for this. Like she got money, man. Like
Well, let me ask you a question, Mike. So tell me a little bit more about Stacy. I mean, does she have a family of her own?
yeah, she got three boys, Tony, and Tony.
Okay.
And I mean, she's doing good. She's a doctor. She got a great job. She lives in Maryland. She's doing good, man. I mean, she can. I'm sure she'll be okay. Pay out of pocket for this.
Should be okay.
I mean, not okay. I mean, like I want to take care of this as her father, but
Hmm.
she got money, man.
Well, Mike, I got to tell you, man, you ought to be proud. I mean, not many dads that I talk to can honestly say that, their children grew up to be doctors or lawyers or anything of that nature. And I just want to tell you, man, I think that's one of the most rewarding things in this life, watching your children grow up to be happy, healthy, and successful in this world.
Hmm.
But,
Hmm.
whenever I talk to some people, man, they don't realize that leaving that burden behind to their children to figure out actually takes away from the opportunities and experiences away from their grandchildren because that
Mm.
money's got to come from somewhere, Mike.
That's true. That's true.
So
That's true.
let me ask you something. And it's going to be a silly question. It's going to sound silly. But I ask this question to every client that I have, and I do help over 100 families a week on average. And each one has their own unique answer. And I'm sure you're no exception. But could you kind of share with me in like a couple of sentences, like why exactly this is so important for you to get this taken care of?
I'll be honest, man. Man, my little girl, she looks up to me so much. Like I'm her father, and she looks up to me, and man, I don't want her to be like dad didn't try or dad didn't think about her, you know.
Hmm.
So like that's the reason why. Like, if anything, I want her to look at me the same way she looks at me now as a father, as a provider. 'Cause I always provided for her.
It sounds like this is also about legacy to you.
Oh, of course, of course.
Okay. So, Mike, at this point, man, I feel like I understand who you are, what's important to you, and ultimately the situation that we're going to avoid. So, I'll just go ahead and tell you about how this works. You know, being a state underwriter, I don't work for one insurance company, but I have access to every insurance company in Florida. And what I'm going to do is I'm just do the shopping for you. Guarantee you're going to get the best rates. Now, you and I are going to put in this application together today, but you won't be asked to pay for anything right now. If we're able to get you approved, we'll have the policy start in the next 30 days, just so we don't procrastinate further. But in the meantime, we're going to send you that policy packet in the mail. Now, Mike, I'm just going to ask you a few brief health questions here, and I need you to continue to be straightforward and honest with me as you have been since the beginning of this call. Is that fair?
That was really good, brother. That was good, man. That was absolutely amazing. So Nick,